Pastor Mike's message on Sunday was about love. And he mentioned 2 weeks ago what love was. Then he talked about how love forgives. And this past Sunday, who can tell me, just go ahead and shout it out, love serves. That was the message title, Love Serves. And he talked to us about that when we truly love, we are people that serve and give to others. So since it's Thanksgiving week, I'd like to talk about serving and how we can serve our family and friends this holiday season by meeting the needs of the soul. So you may have heard this statement before, that we are a spirit, we have a soul, and we live in a body. Has anyone ever heard that before? All right, so we are a spirit. The real us is a spirit. We have a soul, and we live in a body. And our spirit only needs one thing. Does anybody have an idea what our spirit needs? Our spirit will get love when we get this need. Hold on. It starts with a J. Jesus. Yeah, and we want to be specific about that because a lot of people say God, but we want to make sure we know it's Jesus. We need Jesus to be, that's what our spirit needs. When we accept Jesus as our Lord and Savior, we become alive unto God. Our spirit does. We're reborn. Our spirit now becomes perfect. In all of our hearts, everyone that was born, there was a Jesus-shaped hole in our spirit, and the moment we ask him into our heart, he fills that hole, and our spirit now becomes perfect. So our spirit only has one need, and that's Jesus. That's how come we can sing songs like, All I Want Is You. We don't mean like we don't need air anymore, we don't need food anymore, right? We can say, All I Want Is You. Our spirit can worship spirit to spirit. All I want is you, all I need is you, because that's all our spirit needs, is Jesus, to be fulfilled and free. In 1 Peter Chapter 1, verses 3 and 4, it says this, Praise be to the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ. In his great mercy, he has given us new birth into a living hope through the resurrection of Jesus Christ from the dead, and into an inheritance that can never perish, spoil, or fade. When we have Jesus, our spirit is completely full, and all the needs are met. Now, on the other hand, our body has some needs that need to be met every single day. Who knows what our body needs? Food, water, air. What'd you say? A home, yes. Clothing. You've heard the phrase, no shirt, no shoes, no service. You can't go into a restaurant. We would prefer you not to come into church without clothes. You know, if you have clothes at home. Clothes are important. Clothes are part of the things that we need for our body. Air, water, you said all those things. Most of us spend all of our time and energy meeting the needs of our body, making sure we're fed, making sure we're clothed, making sure we have shelter, making sure we have all of our needs met, working hard to provide and get more stuff. But there's a third part of us, which is our soul, that has some needs as well. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight. The needs of the soul aren't as obvious. You know, when you're hungry, what happens? Stomach might start to growl. You might get a little shaky if your blood sugar drops or something like that. So your body tells you when you need fuel and when you need food. But the needs of our soul aren't as obvious as the needs of the body and spirit. But they're important because everything we hear, everything we say, and everything we think filters through our soul. The soul is where we think and we feel and we process. And the soul is really how we interact with one another. I would love to say that we all interact spirit to spirit, right? When I look at Josh, I just see his spirit and I see the perfection of who Josh really is. But there are times that I see the faults in Josh, unfortunately. And there are times when he sees the faults in me, yeah? Yeah? No, it's no. The answer is no, you don't. So when we look at each other, hopefully, we've heard this, the Bible says that we know each other after the Spirit, and that's the goal, that we would know each other after the Spirit, that I would love you. I might not have met you before in my life, but I love you because I know you after the Spirit, right? But in reality, we know each other after the soul, how somebody talks and how they respond and how they interact. That's how we interact. God created us to need him, and he created us to need others and to interact with one another. He recapped his commandments to us when he said in Matthew 22, if that comes up, we'll all read this together, okay? Matthew 22:36. Teacher, which is the greatest commandment in the law? Verse 37, Jesus replied, love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. 38, and this is the first and greatest commandment. And the second is like it, love your neighbor as yourself. So it's impossible to truly love somebody else if you don't love yourself. And it's impossible to love yourself and to even love others or even love God if you don't know how. That word love is a big word, yeah? We're on our third week in Pastor Mike's series on love, and we're still uncovering more of what love does and what love is. So for tonight, let's say that these buckets are going to represent our hearts and our soul. How many of you brought your heart and your soul with you? All right, good. All right, so this is our heart and this is our soul. Let's use these buckets to show that when your heart is full, you experience joy and happiness. But when your bucket is empty, you experience sadness, or you might even become depressed. So let's take a moment to think about the people you know. Maybe the people that live in your home, maybe the people that are at school or at your job. Do you know any happy people? You know some happy people? And what would you say makes them happy? Like, what would you say, how do you know they're happy? Always laughing, they're smiling, they have a little pep in their step maybe. All right, do you know any sad people? And why would you say they were sad? Negative. Maybe they just walk with their head down. They just have a sad face on. Do you ever wonder what makes them happy or sad? Do you ever think about that for a minute? You know, I mean, we see happy people, we see sad people, but do you ever stop and think, I wonder why they're so happy, or I wonder why they're sad? Did you know that you can be a bucket filler? How many of you kids have learned this in school, read the bucket filler book? Yeah. You can be a bucket filler and a bucket what? Dipper. Good. So you knew that, Liam? Good job. So you can either fill people's buckets or you can dip, which means take out of people's buckets. And every day there's something that we could do or say to fill up somebody else's buckets. Ecclesiastes 4 and verse 9 says, 2 are better than one because they have a good return for their labor. If either of them falls down, one can help the other up. And Proverbs 27:17 says, as iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. We have the ability to help somebody fill them up or deplete their buckets, all right? The happiest people in the world make it their jobs to fill the buckets of people around them. So I want to tell you a story about Grandma Dottie. Does anybody know Dottie Wellesley, who normally sits over here? She's been in this church for, 25 years, I think she said. She is about to turn 95 on Sunday, this Sunday, November 26th. And she tells me that every single day when she walks out of her room, she prays, Lord, help me make someone else smile or laugh today. Every day. And anytime I'm around her, that's what she's trying to do. She has this little comedy routine that she does and tries to make people laugh. How many of you have ever, she's made you laugh or smile? And she's about to be 95 years old. I think that's a secret. I think that's a key to longevity. Her goal is not to fill her own buckets. I'm not walking out of here trying to make money. I'm not going to do something for myself. My goal every day, she says, is to make someone else smile or make someone else laugh. She could sit around and be moaning and groaning about her pains and her aches and the things that aren't right in her body, but instead she chooses to focus on the needs of others and how she can be a blessing. And I believe that's why she's around 95 years. So how can you meet the needs of those around you? We need to listen for what the needs are. You could say, look at Denise here and say, oh, I brought you this Thanksgiving meal. But she already bought her turkey. She already started prepping her food. She didn't really need a Thanksgiving meal. So she'd be like, oh, thanks. That's awesome, right? Thanks so much. But she already had one, so she really didn't need that. But if you went to someone who's been praying and believing, God, oh, Lord, I can't afford a Thanksgiving meal. I can't afford a turkey. Help me. If you don't come through, we're not going to have Thanksgiving as a family. And someone gives you a Thanksgiving meal, what are you going to do? You're going to be like, wow, God heard my prayer. You're going to be rejoicing. You're going to be excited. So we have to know what the needs of people are before we just start doing stuff, because otherwise it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't land. So we need to listen for the needs. Tony Robbins is a successful motivational coach and speaker, and he's defined 6 human needs. And tonight we're going to call them the needs of the soul. He has concluded that we all have 6 buckets that need filling on a consistent basis. All right? The needs will never change. We all have the same needs, but how we prioritize our needs may and can change. But the following are what we all need. We're going to start down here with the first one, and it's the need for certainty. If you were upstairs in Chosen, we touched on this a little bit a few months ago. The need for certainty. And if you look at your paper, or even on the screen, it says that's comfort and control, security. Certainty avoids pain as much as possible. Now, we all need to be certain, and we all have this need. I mean, how many of us really need it for the sun to rise tomorrow morning? We need to be certain of that. When we go to a light switch, do we ever think, I wonder if this is not going to turn on? For the most part, we think when we turn on the light switch, it's going to turn on, and lights are going to be there, right? We have a certain amount of certainty that we all experience. We need to be certain that we'll have somewhere to sleep tonight, that there'll be food on the table, that we'll have somewhere to sit at lunch if you're in school. We want to have certainty about that. Some people's need for certainty is greater than others, and you can tell by the way people talk. If you've ever heard someone just keep saying, oh, I don't know about this, I don't know, or I'm so worried, that's an indication that they need some more certainty. So what can we do? How can we help someone fill their certainty bucket? We can tell them that we love them and that nothing will ever change that. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. We don't know if we're going to get a major snowstorm and it's going to be 3 feet of snow, right? We don't really know for sure. But what you can tell someone is, I do know is that I love you with all my heart, and that will never change. We can let them know that we're there for them no matter what. We can give them some sense of certainty. So that's the first bucket that we all have. The next bucket is the opposite, uncertainty and variety. Because how many of you know life would be very boring if nothing ever changed? There's a movie, I think it's called Groundhog Day, and the guy woke up every morning and it was the same. Every day was the same, and it was maddening. He was going insane because every day was the same. And I think that we would too. The problems that we experience in this life, yeah, they stink. They're not fun to go through problems. It's not fun to experience pain. But if we never experienced pain, we wouldn't know what joy felt like, right? If we never experienced a problem, we wouldn't know what it felt like to have the victory over that problem. So there needs to be some amount of uncertainty and variety in our life. And that is positive change, positive surprise, adventure, trying something new. Some people need a lot of uncertainty, a lot of variety. They get bored and even depressed by doing the same thing over and over and over again. You know any people like that? Like they're just on to the next thing, on to the next thing, on to the next thing. They just need a lot of variety. So how can you fill that bucket for them? Do something unexpected. So maybe your mom needs a lot of variety. She gets bored doing the same thing. So just for no reason, run and give her a big hug and squeeze her as tight as you can. None of these things have to cost anything. These are just quick suggestions on how you can help fill someone's bucket for uncertainty. And none of these needs are bad. So if you know someone in your life and you get frustrated with them because they're always trying something new, they're onto this, they're onto that, don't be frustrated. They just need that bucket filled. And it helps us understand, like, they're not bad. They're not trying to annoy me. They just have a bigger need for uncertainty and variety than maybe you do. The third bucket is love and connection. Every single one of us has a need for love and connection. Even the most introverted person in the world still needs some form of love and connection, and that's real relationships, unconditional love. Now, besides getting it from people we know who ultimately gives us the unconditional love with no strings attached. And who is that? Jesus, yeah. You know someone needs love and connection. Maybe you'll be at Thanksgiving dinner, you'll be with family and friends this weekend, and they're kind of just having a pity party for themselves. Nobody loves me. No one loves me. No one cares about me. When someone starts to talk like that, you know that they need some love and connection. They just don't feel connected to somebody. So what can we do for those people? We can hug them. We can sit close to them. Maybe text them from time to time. Invite them to go out. Invite them to do something. We all need love and connection. And this time of year, let's just give it. We have the power to fill someone's bucket with love and connection. So let's just determine that no matter how ugly somebody else might be to us, no matter how ugly the lady at the store who's pushing, trying to get that last bag of mini marshmallows for her sweet potato pudding, and you're having a fight over the bag of marshmallows, give a little love, and maybe touch her on the shoulder and say, you know what, you can have it. Connect with people, love on people, and see the power of God and the power of love at work. Amen? All right, this next one is significance. Significance is the need to feel important, the need to feel needed, to be special, to be unique, and worthy of attention. So do you know a lot of people that seem to need significance? Anybody know people that just need a lot of significance? All right. That's because significance is the only bucket with a hole in it. We all have these needs, right? But significance has a hole in it. No matter what you do, it seems that you can't fill significance. It's always spilling out. So how do we show people that they matter? How do we show people that they're significant? We let them know that they're awesome. Find something. You know, if you're looking at John Mark tonight and you don't like his shirt, you don't lie. Don't be like, oh, your shirt's nice. Say something nice, like, man, I like your beard. It's awesome. Find something. We have Michaela is my niece, and she will find something nice to say about everyone that she meets. She'll, I like your dimple. Something. Like if she doesn't like their outfit, she doesn't like their hair, she'll find something. And when you walk away, you feel like, oh, thanks. I felt good. That made me feel significant. That made me feel good. So how do we help someone feel significant? Let them know that they matter. And what they do is enough. Let them speak without interrupting and just listen. This is a big one for Thanksgiving. Let them speak. Don't keep interrupting, because when you interrupt, you're letting them know you don't matter. What you say doesn't matter. I don't really care what you have to say. So let them speak and just listen. Take a few minutes after dessert is served on Thanksgiving and listen to your uncle. Tell the story for the 1,000th time and sit there and smile and actually be in the moment and let him know what he says matters to you. This is a big one, and people all over the world are empty and dying and crying out to feel significant, and we have the power to fill that bucket for them. I mean, think about it for a moment. Wherever you go, whatever you do, people trying to push their way, trying to be important, trying to show that they matter and that what they're doing is awesome. And we could just say, oh, man, you're awesome. I love what you did. And then they can walk away like, whew, and you did that. I mean, how hard was it just to stop and say something nice to someone? And you could change someone's entire day. You could change their entire week. You could change the course of their life by saying something nice to them. The fifth bucket, and we're almost done, is growth. And that's expansion, development, elevation. Anything that is not growing is dying. So growth is a need. Unfortunately, we can't fill this bucket for anybody else. We choose to grow or we choose to shrink. We can keep growing and growing and growing, or we can keep shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. We can help somebody walk through a growth opportunity, but we can't grow for somebody else. It's a choice that they make every single day. That bucket is our own responsibility. And there are some people who lead with this bucket. Like growth is one of the things that they are after the most. I always say, Pam, I feel like she leads with growth. She's always going back to school. She wants to get another degree, and then another degree, and then another degree, and another degree. She has 15 master's degrees right now. She's on her 16th master's degree because she leads with growth. She's always looking to grow and expand. If there's something more to learn, I want to expand, I want to grow. So this is a need. Maybe it's not as pronounced for everybody, but this is one of the needs of our soul. And the last one is contribution. And this is the one that we want to settle in for a few minutes. The need for contribution. This isn't just, some people serve. Like Pastor Mike said Sunday, love serves. This isn't just some people do. No, love serves, and every one of us has a need to contribute. Contribution serves and gives to fill the buckets of others. And this is the bucket that can fill all the rest. So when you are contributing as an individual, you are filling all your own buckets. You're filling your bucket of growth. You're filling your own bucket of significance. You're filling your own bucket of love and connection and variety and certainty. You're filling all your buckets by you just giving out. And when you're giving out, you're not only filling your buckets, but you're filling the buckets of somebody else. And the other great thing about the contribution bucket, it's the only bucket that can plug the hole in significance. So if you feel like you're just kind of swirling and I don't matter, I don't mean anything, and nothing I do is good enough, start giving out, and you'll plug that hole. And you'll no longer be so concerned about me. Did you see me? Did you see me? How do I look? Do I look good? Do you like my makeup? Do you think it looks good today? Me. You see people all the time like this, right? Me. It's all about them. But when you start giving out, you go to the back, and now you're not concerned about this, and you're concerned about giving to others. So let me encourage you to listen with your heart to what people are saying around you and what they're asking for. They won't know that they're asking for something People aren't going around saying, can you help me grow today? You know, they're not walking around and they're not saying, I need significance. I need significance. Wouldn't that be great if everyone walked around with the bucket that they need and we just could read what they need and know how to give it to them? They're not going to ask for it this way, but you'll hear with the words that they say what they're asking for if we're listening with our hearts. Listen to what they need and try to fill their bucket. When you contribute to others, you won't even realize it, but not only will you be meeting the needs of others, but you'll be meeting the needs of yourself.